to go. An arm that Coach Mike White and staff leaned on quite a bit last year as a sophomore. Going to go ahead and get a start, get this tournament kicked off for Texas. Hard throwing right-hander in the circle.
Facing Taylor Williams, the leadoff hitter, who scored the game-winning run in that 8th inning affair earlier today, scoring on the wild pitch. Northwestern State again 10-10 this year, went 25-27 a season ago. And there is a ball from Mac Morgan. Struggled early with her control a little bit in her last outing, the first inning against Louisiana. 4 runs early, but settled down after that. Mike White told us she has to shore up the left side of the plate.
Well, Coach Mike White really wants to see her not only control the plate, but control the lower part of the zone. He talked about looking and how many fly balls she had last year. And as a drop ball pitcher, you want your ground ball ratio to be higher than that. He said too many fly balls. He wants her to be lower in the zone, let her defense work.
Speaking of the defense, unable to get the out. It's been a problem over the last few games now for the sophomore Martinez at short, and pulled Jolie Mitchell off the bag.
She gets to that ball in plenty of time, but you see her arm slat gets out wide and she makes a wide throw. Jolie Mitchell doing a good job of keeping that in the infield.
Texas played so clean through the first week and a half of the season. But they entered this one with 9 errors over their last 5 games, so a runner aboard for Lainey Ruse. Katie Stewart getting the start at catcher today.
Texas fans going to do a little bit of a double take at the lineup. Not seeing Reese Atwood behind home plate, but Katie Stewart, the freshman, not only with a strong bat, but highly touted for her arm behind home plate. Texas going to give Reese Atwood a little bit of a break, see what Stewart can do.
Martinez over to second for 1. That one gets away from Mitchell. So Jolie Mitchell getting the start at first. Leanne Good starting at second in place of Alyssa Washington.
Batting third and playing third base, number 13, Tristan.
Good, not in the lineup early in season, coming off a wrist surgery in the fall, not fully go yet when season started. Texas easing her back in, but back at her routine place from her freshman year at second base today. Starting to heat up a little bit, had 2 hits on Wednesday against the Texas State Bobcats, so Coach White, Steve Singleton, electing to give her the start here against Northwestern State.
Very good defensive player as well. Here's Tristan Court, meanwhile, the third baseman at the plate. Preseason all Southland Conference third baseman, who's been the best hitter on the team, but you see Katie Stewart dinged up there as Mac Morgan goes to check on her.
That's the one downfall of catching a drop ball pitcher, is when some of those foul balls come off, they will go right into your knee. You see right there, that gets right the side of Katie Stewart. Oftentimes will get you right where the knee guard, the shin pads are not.
Found that one spot. Shakes it off, has a good laugh behind the dish. But they will continue to check on her just to make sure she's all right. Stewart at catcher. Scott Martinez on the left side of the infield. Good and Mitchell on the right. And then the usual outfield for Texas today is Henry, Dayton, and Maloney.
You see the athletic trainer still chatting with Stewart. I think Stewart's trying to say, hey, I'm good, I promise. Like, let's get the show on the road.
Hangs in there. Gotten a few starts defensively. An everyday hitter in the lineup for Texas. So here we go. Tristan Court, .356 hitter on the season. Runner at first. Mac Morgan really worked on forcing more ground balls from opposing hitters. Last weekend against Colorado State, induced about a dozen ground balls in that game.
And as a pitching coach, that's what you want to see when you have a drop ball pitcher. Use that spin, force the ball into the ground, let your defense work. When a drop ball pitcher has a lot of fly balls, or the ratio of ground balls to fly balls is too high, it shows that you're leaving the ball up in the zone too much.
That one just turned foul. Mike White's squad has outscored their opponents by 102 runs on the season, as you get another look at this one. 6 run rule victories for Texas, but he admitted they certainly weren't clicking on all cylinders late last weekend against Stanford in Louisiana. He felt like the team was nervous in that Stanford matchup. You saw it early on. Felt like they weren't communicating a lot out there defensively in the field. Said it was abnormally quiet. Good. On to second. Over to first. A double play ends the top of the first inning.
Home run, she can use the short game. She has speed. So a great option as a leadoff hitter. On base percentage right now of .526. So a little bit higher on base percentage for that leadoff spot.
They will face the senior out of Whitney, Texas, Kenzie Seeley, who's 4-4 on the year. Seeley with an ERA of 3.16 on the season.
Well, one of the 2 seniors that Coach Lacey Prejean talked about relying on this season. She's going to mix it up. Mid-60s, see lateral curve screw. She has a changeup. She'll also try to use a drop curve to get hitters to chase.
Knocks down that one for the first out as Henry is retired.
Second at third base, number 10, Mia Scott.
Here comes Mia Scott, the 2-time All Big 12 third baseman, who has a hit in 5 of her last 6 games. Always has some kind of impressive hitting streak or on-base streak going. She did strike out for the first time all year Wednesday against terrific, one of the best pitchers in the nation, Jessica Mullins, who's top 10 in the country in strikeouts. But Scott was the last Longhorns hitter to strike out this season. Ropes one, that's a fair ball. Flying around first base, Mia Scott is digging for 3. And she is in there with a stand-up triple here in the first.
Well, Mia Scott can do it all. This pitch low inside does a great job of driving that. It hugs the line, just stays fair. But as soon as that ball rolls to the wall and towards the corner, you know Mia Scott with her speed is going to be standing on third. Alex, we talk about it from time to time. Mia Scott has what a leadoff hitter is supposed to be made of, but feels so much more comfortable in that 2-hole. But man, she really gets the offense going for Texas.
She's got 3 triples on the year already, so she's over at third, and the freshman Katie Stewart is up. Stewart has reached in 12 straight. Has jumped right into this lineup as a true freshman and has reached in all but 1 game as a Longhorn so far.
Talking to Reese Atwood this week for a podcast interview and asking her which freshman stands out, and you know it's hard for any of them, just like last year, to pick one. You have Henry, you have Tegan Cavan, Katie Stewart, Victoria Hunter coming off the bench, but she did talk about Katie Stewart and just how mature her at-bats are, how she's been able to kind of rely on Reese, come to Reese, talk to her about the pitching they're seeing. And
Stewart lifts one to deep left field. Katie Stewart leaves the yard. 2-0 Longhorns.
well, to finish that thought, Reese Atwood was excited that Katie Stewart is really trying to step up her game this early in her freshman year. And right now, early in this game, she steps up, puts Texas on the board. What a mammoth 2-run home run off the bat. That was loud. Katie Stewart, welcome to McCombs today.
What a great year she is having. She's now reached in 13 straight. That's her 3rd home run of the year. And Texas jumps out to the early lead after they had fallen behind in each of the last 2 games in the first inning. Well, here is the now 2-time reigning National Player of the Week, and there she goes. Reese Atwood retired on 1 pitch.
Well, going into Wednesday night's game, Reese Atwood hadn't seen a full count all year. So Reese Atwood does not like to get deep in the count. She tries to attack early. Can work out in her favor more often than not, but great job right there by Seeley throwing an off-speed pitch, getting Reese Atwood out in front after the big home run from Katie Stewart.
Second out of the inning, strike one to Vivi Martinez.
You know, Alex, rewind back to the home run for Stewart.
Yeah.
The exciting part of that for Texas is the fact that if Reese Atwood starts getting the treatment of a big-time hitter and being pitched around, you can always move Katie Stewart behind her to protect her. And so for Texas, that's an exciting piece of their offense, that they have a hitter they can rely on to protect Reese if they need to.
Well, Mike White told us she's going to have to start. Well, he didn't want her to think about it, but he said, we're going to have to start thinking about her getting pitched around. I said, have you brought that up to her? He said, no, we don't want her thinking it all at the plate. Just swing, just hit, whatever you're doing, just stay with it.
Well, and really, it's not something as a hitter she needs to be concerned about. A lot of times you can pick up early in a bat if they're going to try to pitch around you and be patient, but you want her to still be in the mindset to do damage. So yeah, as a staff, they're going to have to start putting the pieces if there's pitching staffs that decide to pitch around her, or if it becomes a constant situation, who then can protect her. But right now, Katie Stewart looks like someone that'll be able to do that.
Absolutely. Her swing, the difference right now. As the count goes full to Vivi Martinez, 326 hitter here during her sophomore campaign. Martinez over to second. Ragsdale is there. And the inning comes to an end, but the damage is done. Mia, Texas's final non-conference tournament before they begin Big 12 play. A few weeks away against BYU. But again, Texas out to the early lead with Mac Morgan back out in the circle. Cam Curtis, the cleanup hitter, leading off here in the second.
Well, it's such a big situation for Cam Curtis right now as a freshman in the 4-hole for the Demons. Coach Lacey Prejean talking about how she's broken into the starting lineup lately. Her batting average increased 100 points last week, but it's doing a good job of barreling at balls. But a lot of times when you say a freshman breaks into the lineup, it's not in your 4-hole.
That's a key spot for a newbie to start in there. They have a number of freshmen starting at important positions: shortstop, center field, left field, first base.
Well, she talks about how many seniors they had, but she did point out that she has that core group of freshmen that she's going to continue to build around in her time there with Northwestern State.
Martinez fields that one away. She was hired last July, one of 35 new coaches across the country taking over programs. See 6 freshmen, nice balance to go with 9 seniors. And her club on a roll, having won 5 of 7. Here's Ashlyn Walker, the former transfer from North Texas, swinging away and delivers with a base knock. The Lady Demons' first of the day.
The Demons are being aggressive, and Ashlyn Walker no different. This ball low, but over the heart of the plate. She sees it, drives it just up the middle. Drop ball pitcher, you're not going to be able to try to lift it unless you see the pitch up in the zone, as we talked about in the first inning. So good piece of hitting by Walker just to take that back up the middle.
Allie Delafield takes ball 1. Another freshman out of Stonewall, Louisiana. Lacey Prejean has brought in a bunch of winners out of high school, like Delafield, who won 3 consecutive state championships, and gets hit by the pitch there. So 2 on with 1 away.
Mac Morgan trying to go up and in a little bit here. See, gets the chest there of Delafield.
And this is a really fast Northwestern State team on the bases. As Bailey Ragsdale fouls one off. They entered today just 5 steals shy of matching their total from all of last year. Yet in stolen bases, had 28 last season.
Talking to Coach Prejean, she talked to us about how she's going to have them play a different style of game, that she's more aggressive than they're used to. She was having to force them to steal even in inter-squad scrimmages, because there were athletes that were like, I don't steal. And she's like, yeah, you're going to.
You will now.
So it's a matter of getting them running, She'll put some hit and runs and get hitters in motion, but she's going to try to force some action and force other teams to have to make hurried plays instead of playing station to station.
That's a golden opportunity. That one chopped over to good. Bobbles it. Everybody's safe, and the bases will be full of Lady Demons.
Well, Mac Morgan looked like she might go for this, and Leanne Good hesitated just a little bit. I think that's a base hit, even if she fields it cleanly. But you see here, she doesn't come charging in right away. Not sure if Mac Morgan's going to go for it. Northwestern State in business with bases loaded.
For the freshman from Buda, Mia Liscano. 4-year letter winner just down the road at Hayes High School. A huge opportunity for Northwestern State right now. Liscano chops it over to Morgan. She goes home for the force, and they get one. Two-way, bases loaded once again. This time for Sophia Livers in the 9 spot. But a big out for Texas there.
Mac Morgan's ball is heavy, comes in upper 60s, sometimes 70. So as a hitter, you have to really try to stay through it a little bit longer. Talked about it, Coach White wants her to induce these ground balls. Texas going to have to be on their toes, able to defend all of them.
One misses to Livers. He's driven in 3 runs on the season.
Interesting show of a bunt right there with 2 outs and bases loaded.
Let's see what happens here with the 1-1. Checked over to Mitchell, dropped the ball, and Northwestern State is on the board. Mike White said that was one of his question marks early in the season. First base, specifically defensively at first, and it hurts Texas there.
Well, Julie Mitchell coming over from Notre Dame, usually a third baseman, playing the other corner right now. She goes into the hole for that ball, doesn't keep moving through it. But right there, you have to keep moving through that. Go get that so that way Leanne Good can cover first. But Texas defense right now not helping themselves out.
And we go back up to the top of the order now. Bases loaded for the 3rd time, 2 away. And here comes Taylor Williams. 360 hitter entering the tournament. It's at 340 right now.
Right now, I just see Mac Morgan is not able to flirt around the strike zone. It's either a solid strike or it's a solid ball. Nothing is tempting Northwestern to swing out of the zone. Right there's a good changeup. We haven't seen very many changeups so far from her. But Northwestern being aggressive, getting their timing, and really putting some balls in play hard.
The 0-2 with 2 away. Does not get Williams to chase. Northwestern State with a few singles and a hit batter as well, taking advantage of Texas defensive miscue. That one over to short. Martinez airmails that one, and we are tied at 2.
This is another high hopper, and Vivi Martinez gets over to it, but you see her double clutch right there. And that double clutch makes her rush the throw. Pulls Jolie Mitchell off high, but Texas does have to back her up in that aspect.
So the base is loaded for Lainey Ruse. Fouls one off, a 286 hitter. One of the most patient hitters on the team as well, with 12 walks. Over to first, Mitchell fortunately has time to scoop that one up, and the top half of the 2nd comes to an end. But Northwestern still up here in the bottom of the 2nd inning in a suddenly tied game. Well, Mitchell, the transfer from Notre Dame, has certainly provided offense during her time in the lineup. Delivered the pinch hit RBI single in the 4th inning Wednesday night. That was the difference in a 1-0 win over Texas State.
Well, on the Wednesday before, we saw her come off the bench and go 3 for 3 against Houston Christian. So really making the most of the opportunities she's getting in a Longhorn uniform. Admitted to us, it's been an adjustment, figuring out her role and not necessarily in the lineup every single day with Mia Scott at third base.
Been platooning at times with Katie Stewart over at first. She takes a strike. Swing and a miss. Strikeout number 1 on the day for Seeley.
Well, Seeley set this up perfect. She got two strikes with changeups. Then she uses her drop curve. You see that go down and away from Jolie Mitchell. Great job by the senior Kinsey Seeley. Great sequence right there.
One away now for Leanne Good, who's starting to find her swing. After earning her 3rd start in her last 4 games, coming off her first multi-hit game of the year. And that was against one of the best pitchers in America, Jessica Mullins. And Good also had a hit in the game before that. And we know she can hit. It's just recouping from that injury.
It's recouping from the injury as well as letting yourself go through the process of getting back into the box and not trying to force yourself to be put in the offense every day by swinging at everything and trying to get hits. Let your at-bat happen, see good counts, see good pitches. I think first couple games she was getting some at-bats, trying to do too much and trying to force some hits, but as you said, starting to have better at-bats the last couple weeks.
Last year hit .325 with 16 doubles. Hitting .294 right now, behind 1 and 2 to Kenzie Seeley. Northwestern State out hitting Texas right now 3-2. That one misses.
Seeley really starting to use that changeup more early in the count and more often against this Longhorn lineup. We didn't see a whole lot of them in the first inning. Jolie Mitchell got 2 to work ahead of her. That's the second one Leanne Good see.
Good sends one to right, and that is found. She will head back to the batter's box. This Lady Demons team has been involved in so many close games already this year. 7 one-run games, including earlier today. For Texas, not quite as many. They've had a number of dominant victories. But the Lady Demons, not much room for error so far this year. How about that? Back-to-back strikeouts against one of the best offenses in America.
Well, again, Seeley is going to this drop curve. You see this ball go away from the plate. She's starting to stretch that outside corner, knowing that Texas is being aggressive.
Texas only strikes out about 4 times a game. Been sent down twice here in the second. Here's Ashton Maloney, who usually hits in the 9 spot. Mike White moving around his order a little bit today. Maloney hitting .367. Terrific defensive right fielder as well. Mentioned one-run games. Texas, of course, as we said, is coming off that narrow victory over Texas State, 1-0. Down by your neck of the woods.
Just down 35 in San Marcos.
Which seems close, but it took you about 2 hours to get here today?
Took a while today. The traffic in Austin was not my friend.
That one misses to Maloney. 2-1 to the sophomore. Texas, one more coming up after this one against Tarleton State. Locked in an early battle with Northwestern State, and here's Ashton Maloney with the 2-2, 2 away, waiting the offering from Seeley.
There, another changeup by Seeley, and Ashton Maloney, knowing she has it, so being a little bit more patient through the box, allowing herself to have an opportunity to foul that off, waste that pitch. Texas is going to have an answer to that off-speed pitch by Seeley.
Remember, 2 of the first 3 batters of the day got extra base hits off Seeley. Scott with the triple, Stewart with the home run. It seemed like they were going to explode in that first inning, but since then, Seeley hasn't allowed a base runner. 4 in a row retired by the senior out of Whitney, Texas.
And even though Seeley's a senior, and a lot of times the maturity of that, being that old, allows you to be settled in an environment like this. You're playing Texas, who you know is putting up offensive numbers. There's still some nerves, and so it might have taken her a little bit just to settle in that first inning, but so far has looked poised after the home run to Katie Stewart.
Locked in a battle with Maloney. Pitch number 10 of the at-bat will be coming up. With patience from Ashton Maloney.
Doesn't matter where Ashton Maloney is in this Texas order, she always does a great job of finding her way on base and continuing to flip the batting order over. She's going to hand the bat off now to Bella Dayton. But again, we're talking speed when you talk about Maloney, Dayton, Henry, and Mia Scott all now in line to come up to bat if Texas can ignite a 2-out rally.
Mentioned Maloney's speed. She's got 4 stolen bases on the year. She's over at first. Here's Bella Dayton. We said moved down from the leadoff spot to number 9 in the order. Coming off her 5th multi-walk game of the year. But before she gets another chance, Lacey Prejean heads out to the circle for Northwestern State.
Lacey Prejean coming out to have a conversation about how they're probably going to cover the bag if Ashton Maloney steals. You have Bella Dayton in the left-handed batter's box. She can move through as a slap. She can stand and hit. A lot of times your middles will trade off. A lot of times second base will cover with a left-handed hitter in the box, but if you're going to throw her in and she can pull it, you don't necessarily want your second baseman to cover. So Prejean out there talking more to her defense than her pitcher right now.
And keep in mind, Northwestern State has a very good defensive catcher, Ashlyn Walker, who's thrown out 15 base runners over the last year and a half.
Prejean herself was a catcher, so we talked to her, and she mentioned how her catchers are loving the fact that they get some one-on-one time with her now, but she was a very good defensive catcher and imparting some of her knowledge there on the Demon catching crew.
Walker loves that, the former transfer from North Texas. So here we go. Maloney over at first. The count 1-0 to Bella Dayton. Dayton has reached in all but 2 games this year.
Well, you see after the timeout now, first baseman Delafield is now playing behind the bag. Second baseman is deep as well.
Maloney is going to throw from Walker. And Maloney slides in there safely now in scoring position with 2 away.
Well, Maloney gets a great jump, and this is a bang-bang play, but I do think her hand gets under there. Tag right there on her lower back as her hand gets in there. That was a close call. Great throw by Walker, but I do think Ashton Maloney got in there just in time.
You can see Mia Lascano over at short. Thought they had Maloney, but instead she's safe, and the count now 3-1 to Dayton. Full count.
That throw right on the money by Walker too. Lascano didn't even have to reach, just catch and tag.
second straight walk issued by Kenzie Seeley, and back up to the top of the Texas order we go. Started off the inning with 2 strikeouts, but now 2 walks.
Well, the common theme I'm seeing right now, take out the ground ball by Caden Henry in the first inning, but Mia Scott, a lefty that had a triple, Ashton Maloney, Bella Dayton, both lefties that have now gotten on. She got deep in the count to Vivian Martinez as well. I think just struggling a little bit to control the left-handed hitters of Texas right now.
Second time through the order this year has been magic for the Texas lineup. Caden Henry takes ball 1, the freshman hitting .571 this year with runners in scoring position. Catches the corner.
Well, after the Mia Scott triple, which was a really good pitch low and in, I haven't seen Seeley come back into these left-handed hitters. She's used a changeup, but she's using that screwball away, so Texas is going to have to adjust to that game plan.
Henry checks one down the line in left, and that is hauled in by Curtis. So Texas gets 2 bases. Talk about your defense for a moment. What are you noticing out of them, not only today, but over the past few games or so?
Yeah, I just think we're being pretty tentative out there. You know, you can't be afraid of what's going to happen. You got to make sure it does happen and want to get the ball. And you've got to change that mentality pretty quickly here. Otherwise, you have to make some quick changes.
Coach, other than Mia Scott and Katie Stewart, what adjustments are you looking for from your offense against Kenzie Seeley?
Well, it's obvious they're going to go to a lot more off speed. So you're going to have to wait and be patient and try and get that pitch to hit that we're really looking for.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Hey, you hook 'em. Let's go.
There is Kenzie Seeley back out for inning number 3. Has not given up a hit since that home run by Katie Stewart in the 3rd inning.
She really did settle in. She used that off-speed pitch, her drop curve, and her curveball away to the right-handed hitters. It's going to be the question is, can she get Mia Scott out? She struggled a little bit, in my opinion, against the left-handed hitters of this Texas lineup, walking Ashton Maloney and Bella Dayton. But the other part, if you throw too many off speeds, Texas has speed. You can lay that down for a bunt, so her corners also have to be ready to move.
I think the problem is they haven't broken out your favorite item, the Chucky doll, which you just live for that moment.
Alex?
I don't know if the viewer can sense the sarcasm. We need a camera on your face whenever we show the Chucky doll just to see your candid reaction.
If anybody's listening, do not tell anybody to bring the Chucky doll out.
You didn't have anything like that when you were pitching?
We didn't have a Chucky doll. We had what we called Bob, and Tina Boutel, our center fielder, went out with an injury, and so while she was on the bench, she taped a batting glove that was stuffed into the the Longhorn fingers, and taped him on top of an old bat. So she used Bob, and he was our mascot for a very long time.
Where is Bob now? Did you keep him?
I don't know if she has Bob still or not.
Leadoff walk issued.
To imagine Seeley's going to show Stewart a good healthy dose of off-speed pitches like that one right there.
Scott can run 2 over at first, but again with Walker behind the plate. Don't know how often they want to test her today.
Well, the plus side for Texas right now is with Seeley throwing so many off-speed pitches, Mia Scott can get a step to a step and a half, maybe even 2, with the fact that it's going to be slower getting to the plate. But you have to be able to read it or take the gamble that it's going to be the changeup at that time.
Stewart cranks one to left field, just foul. Turned on it quickly.
Well, another off-speed pitch there by Seeley, but Stewart sitting on that one, still out in front just a little bit, yanking it foul. See there, just a few feet.
She hits the ball so hard. One time during one of her high school games in Frankfort, Illinois, hit the ball so hard it left the stadium and landed on a nearby track in the middle of a track meet. Bounced right in front of one of the runner's feet there, and she delivers again in this one. 2 hits on the day now for the freshman Katie Stewart. Mia Scott and Katie Stewart have now each reached twice for the Longhorns.
Well, just a mature at bat there, knowing that she was going to get a changeup somewhere in the middle of that at bat, able to fight it off, put barrel on it, just barely foul, and then respond back to back, putting that ball in left field. But talk about how hard she hit it, Alex. her first single of the season was off the wall, in the air off the wall here at Macomb. So she almost powered her way to not getting an extra base hit.
Speaking of power, Reese Atwood is halfway to Taylor Hoagland's single season home run record of 18 in a year. Taylor set that in 2012. It took her 60 games. Reese Atwood is playing in her 15th game of the season.
Well, Reese Atwood has talked about it. She was in the weight room a lot in the off season, summer, this fall, really trying to get herself a little bit stronger to have some more power. And we saw her leave the yard last year as well, but consistently wants to be able to hit the gaps, hit the home runs. That just shows your commitment to your craft. There's so many athletes that think once they've gotten to the college level, they've made it, but to be able to buy in and say, yeah, you know what, I can get stronger, even after what she did as a freshman.
Certainly improved during the offseason. Skies one right to Seeley. Atwood 0 for 2. Here comes Alyssa Washington. Her first at-bat of the day. The captain hitting 300 on the season. Not only the first captain in the history of Texas softball, the first captain in the history of Mike White's 15-year head coaching career, going back to his time at Oregon.
Coach White talking about just having a gut feeling that they needed someone to be the vocal leader.
But over to short, on to second for one. They make quick work of Washington, but still a huge honor for her.
Very huge honor. I mean, to be voted by your team as the captain and the coaching staff having that respect to be able to give you the C to wear. Their sports information director, Chris Brown, put an article out about it this weekend, and Alyssa Washington quoted as coaching staff pulled her in, and she said she started to cry because she was just, there were tears because it was just such a respect.
I mean, you know better than anyone in the storied history of this program. To be named the first captain in Texas history, it means an awful lot to Alyssa Washington. Here is Jolie Mitchell, 0 for 1. Runners on the corners with 2 away. And there is strike 1 from Seeley.
Well, Seeley using that off-speed pitch as the equalizer right now, and so far Katie Stewart has been the only hitter who's been able to adjust to it and show Seeley that she's going to be able to sit it well.
That's a foul ball.
Mitchell trying to bunt that off-speed pitch, but Texas going to have to be able to combat that changeup with runners in scoring position.
Mitchell hitting .371 as a Longhorn, does lead the team in stolen bases as well, but they need her bat at this point in the game. Tied at 2 with 2 outs, 2 on. Sends one foul. Kenzie Seeley having a nice outing, couple of strikeouts. 2 runs allowed in 2 2/3 to the 6th highest scoring team in the nation, Texas, who came in averaging 8.5 runs per game. And Washington will advance to second, 2 in scoring position. Texas had already burned a number of teams this year by baiting them into throwing that to second and bringing the lead runner home from third. Lady Demons don't fall for that. Second and third, 2 away. Mitchell into the gap in left center field, and that will score 2. Jolie Mitchell, the transfer from Notre Dame, puts Texas in front.
Well, Seeley uses this off speed. However, she hangs this one high. She's been locating it low in the zone. That's been effective for her. This one up in the zone. Jolie Mitchell able to get all of it, drive it to that left center gap. The placement of that changeup was all the difference right there for Seeley. Mitchell able to capitalize, putting Texas ahead by 2.
We said it right off the top. In her first at bat, all she does is provide offense for Mike White's squad. Mitchell now with a hit in 6 of her last 7 games. She's on at second by herself.
Go back to the pitch before that, the double. Seeley threw that drop curve again that Jolie Mitchell struck out at in her first, or struck out on, excuse me, in her first at bat. She laid off of it, which forced Seeley to have to come back with an off-speed pitch. She was on time. It also hung in the zone. Perfect equation there for Jolie Mitchell to get 2 RBIs.
Now having a conversation after 65 pitches through 2 2/3.
So you see here, Seeley's going to go ahead and try to use that drop curve again. A little bit farther out, but Jolie Mitchell chased that in her first at bat. They tried to bait her, not going for it, forcing the 50-50 chance that she was going to get an off-speed pitch, which as much as Seeley has been throwing it, it was probably more of a 730 gamble that you'd see the off-speed pitch there, and Jolie Mitchell makes the most of that opportunity.
And for Texas, the 3rd inning has been the big one this year for the Longhorns. Again, 2nd time through the order, doing the same thing today. And here is Leanne Good getting ready to face Seeley. All 4 runs allowed earned. Good, a strikeout victim in the 2nd. Has Mitchell over at 2nd. She doesn't chase.
Well, and back to Mitchell for just a second. When we talk about transfers, a lot of times there are people in the softball world that are like, well, why so many transfers? You can get a freshman. That right there shows you a mature at bat, in-game adjustment from an athlete who has been experienced in Division I softball against quality opponents. And that's why a lot of times if you can find a quality athlete in the portal that fits a need, you grab them right away.
Years ago, there used to be at times a stigma around a player transferring. Why did they transfer? What's wrong with them? These days, not the case at all.
No, and, well, last Wednesday we got to talk to Jolie Mitchell after the game against Houston Christian, and she said she had wanted to be a Longhorn for a while. She likes the way they compete, the way they play. She wanted to be here, so the second she got in the portal and they called, it was almost an automatic yes.
Well, look at the pitching staff. Mac Morgan, transfer. Stelcheck, transfer. Meanwhile, Leanne Good has worked the count full. Pitch number 70 on the day from Seeley. Into foul territory. Delafield tracking it, unable to get to it.
Break there for Leanne Good. Not sure if that hit something or Delafield just unable to track it all the way to the fence, because it did land inside the field of play.
Payoff pitch back up the middle. Fielded by Ragsdale, and she throws it away. Jolie Mitchell will come around to score. Good slides in safely, and Texas extends their lead.
Well, the errors plagued Texas in the 2nd inning. This time, the error from Northwestern State giving Texas a 3rd run. Leanne Good now getting herself into scoring position, not missing a beat, rounding first. But Ragsdale just rushes that a little bit. Had a lot of time, too. Leanne Good was not, that was not going to be a bang-bang play.
First error of the game for Northwestern State. So here comes Ashton Maloney, who walked in the 2nd. Looks like we have a pinch hitter for Ashton Maloney. Victoria Hunter, talented freshman, takes strike 1. This is a player Mike White said he was trying to find more at bats for. 8 for 16 to start off her career in a Longhorns uniform.
That's the plus and minus about having so much depth, which Texas does have this year, is you have your starting 9 that are playing really well, but you have hitters like Victoria Hunter. You have some days Katie Stewart if she's not in the starting lineup. You have hitters that you have to try to get at bats for. But Coach White's saying that he's talked to Hunter about being a pinch hitter, coming up in situations where they need some RBIs, that's when he wants to use her. So allowing her to mentally know that, okay, these are game-changing situations. I'm going to be able to be ready mentally and physically.
The number 12 recruit in the nation coming out of Houston. Lays off the 1-2. Already has a couple of home runs, a triple, and a couple of doubles to begin her Texas career.
She is very much a power hitter. So Coach White going to look for her to kind of take the reins as Jordan Whitaker did in her career, be able to be an RBI producer.
Over to short, Liscano on to first, and Hunter retired. First base for Jolie Mitchell, so Mike White talked about making changes, and he has done that through the last few innings here in Austin. 7, 8, and 9 hitters due up for Northwestern State. Two of those players, including this hitter, Bailey Ragsdale, singled off Morgan already. That one turns foul. Mac Morgan has allowed 4 hits, 1 earned run, no strikeouts, no walks.
Well, and Katie Simmons has played quite a bit of first base in her time here on the 40 acres. Worked behind the plate on occasion too, but defensively more experienced at first base, I think, than anyone on the Texas roster. So Coach White going ahead and giving her some opportunities here in the 4th.
How much of a message does that send to the rest of the team that if these miscues continue, the head coach won't necessarily stand for it, he won't mind making changes?
Well, it's a message of being able to come ready to play every single day, but at the same time, it's also the message of, you know what, we have depth, so we don't have to continue to leave you out there. Some programs, if you don't have depth, an athlete that's struggling has to stay out there working through it, but at the same time, not always on the most positive side. So there's 2 messages, but Coach White knowing that they have the depth, they can make defensive replacements, and that's not something they've always had. The
deepest team since he's been here, and of course that first ball found Simmons over at first for the first out.
It usually does. You go in the game and somehow the ball finds its way to you.
Count 2-0 to Mia Liscano. Expect to see later on tonight against Tarleton State, Citlali Gutierrez probably get the start?
I would think Citlali Gutierrez will get the start. Tegan Cavan started and threw a complete game Wednesday against Texas State, so I'd imagine it'd be Citlali Gutierrez, and we could see Estelle Check probably backing her up.
And Mike White having a brief conversation with Scott Wagner, home plate umpire. Again, the changes he's made already. Alyssa Washington took over at short. Katie Simmons over at first.
Katie Simmons went out to first base, and he may not have actually officially entered her with the umpire, and he's trying to get it before Coach Prejean and her staff get it, because if they had caught that before Coach White enters her, they can reverse the play there at first base, and she can come back and get another pitch.
And again, Scott Wagner making Lacey Prejean aware of the change. Katie Stewart talking things over with Mac Morgan and Katie Simmons and Leanne Good. Also discussing the situation, and there has been a change at catcher as well. Reese Atwood moving behind the dish.
So Coach White mixing it all up. I don't think defensively there's anything Katie Stewart was doing behind the plate. Maybe conversation too that Mac Morgan's just like, hey, Reese and I work well together, or could just be splitting opportunities right now.
Liscano was ready to head to first. Morgan has yet to walk a batter in this one. Katie Stewart, Jolie Mitchell started the game in the field at catcher and first base respectively. Getting a breather, Washington. It's been that kind of a day out in the field for Texas so far. They'll score that a hit.
Well, that one, Liscano does a good job of staying inside of it, so it is slicing and moving away from Alyssa Washington. I do think if she fields it cleanly, she has a shot at getting her at first. Hits the glove right there, so I'm sure if you ask Washington, that's a play she should have made. It was sliced with a little bit of spin, though.
Now, that was interesting. After Morgan nearly walked Liscano, Livers swings at the first pitch and immediately records out number 2. So we go up to the top of the order now, 2 away with 1 on. Taylor Williams reached twice on an error. Sends one into foul territory. What a grab on the run by Kaden Henry.
A little bit off balance with a different speed as well. Seeley, the hardest thrower on the staff, and Denton going to be a little bit lower 60s.
Starts with the bottom of the Texas order, Bella Dayton, who walked in the second inning. She has been a walks machine so far this year, 13 walks, and now her 15th game. Drops down the bunt. Denton has to hurry and throws it away. Dayton wisely moves on down to second to begin the bottom of the fourth.
Well, it doesn't matter where you put Bella Dayton. She is able to make things happen. Short game here. Errant throw allows her to advance 60 feet. She's going to put pressure on defenses, and whether it's leadoff or 9 holes, she's able to do a job, flip the script, and now the freshman, Caden Henry, coming up with just as much speed, if not more, than Bella Dayton. Demons defense are really going to have to be on their toes.
I mean, Dayton, when she's healthy, she's just an absolute beast out there. Uber competitor. And again, off to a great start this year as well. However, we will have a challenge on that play. Our first of the day, courtesy of Lacey Prejean and the Lady Demons. We'll head over to review this one. Again, it was Bella Dayton at the plate. Recorded the single, then advanced to second on the error by Denton.
Well, I'm going to guess one of two things. They're going to either review if she was out of the box or if she was running inside, inside the running lane, which didn't allow Delafield to be able to get to the ball. But I don't think she interferes with that play whatsoever there.
We're checking for interference there, we are being told officially, but tough to see any there, no?
Yeah. Well, if it hits her and she's completely inside the white line, you might be able to have a case that she interfered and she would be out. But if it glanced her almost after she's passed the bag. So, no, I don't
have a problem with this. If your team is down 3, you don't want to let it get out of hand. Texas trying to put together a big inning and getting run rule territory potentially, as that one is a quick review. Original call stands. Dayton safe at second.
Yeah, from every angle, the ball, Bella Dayton did not interfere with the play. The throw was behind her and wide, so Delafield wouldn't have been able to catch it regardless of where Bella Dayton was. But sometimes you have to review just to see if something can go your way, if there's a missed bag.
But after the call stands, here's Caden Henry trying to lay down the bunt. Henry had that great grab in left field. Remember in the Stanford loss, she had a great throw from left field to home plate late in that contest. Texas could not make the play at the dish. Talented first-year player hitting .474 so far this year. Henry over to short. They check Dayton over at second. Close play over at first, but Henry retired.
Well, Henry with good speed, but this ball just hard enough that Lascano can check her without having to double clutch. Able to retire Henry, but Bella Dayton still in scoring position for Mia Scott.
Yeah, this is the part of the order that has done just about all the damage so far today. Mia Scott, triple and a walk. Takes strike 1 from Denton. Scott hit exactly .377 in each of her first 2 years with the Longhorns. Up to .415 this season. Lays down the bunt. Touched home plate. And a bit of confusion there by the Lady Demons.
Well, Mia Scott lays down the bunt, and the ball's still on home plate when Walker picks it up. The question, however, is did home plate umpire Scott Wagner call foul ball Lacey Prejean coming out saying you threw your hands up to say foul ball. But right here, as this rolls backwards, Walker has to let it get past the plate, so it's still on the plate right there. He started to throw his hands up. He didn't throw it all the way, and then he points to the plate.
Do we need a review of the umpire's movements? That was, he was motioning to say foul ball. That will be correct. It is ruled foul.
Well, that's the big thing, is once a defensive player can see that you throw your hands up or start to, the first baseman can give up on the play because you said foul ball. And, you know, as a coach, you always talk to them about playing it out, but he did start to throw his hands up, which allows everyone to think now the play is dead.
Can't take that back, but Mike White will plead his case. Texas with 5 runs off 5 hits. Northwestern State with 2 runs off 5 hits. Double explanations taking place now. Mike White and the umpires.
Well, Coach White wanting the explanation because he did then, in fact, point to the plate, but he did throw his hands up first. And I believe the field umpire is coming to confirm, yes, we did, in fact, see him start to throw his hands up, so we have to go with that call first.
That explanation will have to suffice. Scott Wagner with the mask back on. The count 0-2 now with 1 away to Mia Scott. And Bella Dayton over at second. Scott sends one to left field. Curtis makes the grab on the run. Nice job by the freshman Cameron Curtis.
Designated player, Katie Stewart.
This ball just off the end of the bat of Mia Scott, slicing towards foul territory there in left field. Curtis bringing that one in. Bella Dayton unable to advance. So Texas with a runner in scoring position, not able to cash in so far in this inning. It's a big leadoff runner that you don't want to leave out there on the bases.
It'll be up to Katie Stewart to bring her home. Stewart 2 for 2. A single in the 3rd inning and a 2-run blast in the 1st. She already has 5 doubles and 3 home runs in her Texas career. And one of the most patient hitters on the team, 11 walks for a true freshman.
She just is very mature at bats. She doesn't get fooled a lot. We saw her able to fight the changeup off against Seeley in her 2nd at bat. Have to imagine right now, if I'm pitching coach Lexi Smith, I've told my pitching staff in this situation, let's go ahead and put her on. You might have to be careful with Reese Atwood too, but she is 0 for 2 today, so you've been able to pitch effectively to her so far. But wouldn't let Katie Stewart beat me again.
There is strike 1. Hitters count on the way to the freshman. Top 10 recruit in the nation according to Extra Innings Softball. Awaits the 3-1. Here we go, 2 on, 2 away for one of the hottest hitters in the nation to begin the 2024 season, Reese Atwood. Atwood, who's been on that tear, was held off base for the first time all year in her last game against Texas State. And then today suddenly 0 for 2. Pitch runner, by the way, over at first. Adea Wallace, the freshman, takes over. Atwood entered the game #1 in the country in home runs and RBIs, and #2 in batting average. The only other players in Texas history to win multiple National Player of the Week honors in a season, Haley Dolcini, Krista Williams, and yourself. All pitchers, and Reese Atwood.
Well, when you think about being a National Player of the Week in any position, to me, it's harder as a hitter. you have to be really successful for consecutive weeks or consecutive games in a week, where as a pitcher you can have 2 really good outings in a week, and that can earn you the honors. So tip your hat to Reese Atwood. That is not an easy feat to accomplish. And there's many that get it one time in their whole career and never again. So
hitting .558 with 31 RBIs. Lifts one to left field. Atwood has done it again. Home run number 10 on the year.
Well, the Demons were careful with Katie Stewart, and Reese Atwood gets herself a pitch. She likes the ball up in the zone, but this one down, she goes down and gets it. I'm not gonna say she golfed it, but she stayed through that really well, and that clears the fence out there in the grad student housing, bounces over. But Reese Atwood, way to get your first hit of the day. Again, Alex, her and Katie Stewart back-to-back in the lineup is gonna give a lot of opposing pitchers headaches.
Construction workers are going to get a nice souvenir when they show up on Monday there. Reese Atwood in the midst of making history right now. What a pace she's on. 10 home runs in 15 games this year. Averaging a home run about every 3.5 at bats.
Well, Alex, we've talked about how deep this lineup is, but at the same time, you're going into year 4 with Steve Singleton as the hitting coach. And you have an offense that now is settling into his philosophy, buying into it, passing it down to the younger players. So you see Reese Atwood, who had the success last year, but continuing to work at it and continuing to know what plan she's going to the plate with.
You know him well, the job he has done since he arrived on the 40 acres. It's just really elevated this offense as a whole.
And a lot of times fans kind of go with the question of like, who's that when a baseball guy transitions into the softball game, but Coach Singleton has made that transition very smoothly, and this offense has been absolutely tremendous since he came onto the staff.
And that continues with Alyssa Washington's base knock.
First baseman number 44, Katie Simmons.
Katie Simmons will now get her first at-bat of the day. Remember, she replaced Jolie Mitchell over at first base. So the Longhorns 3 runs in the 3rd inning, 3 runs here in the 4th, and looking for more with Washington at first. And Simmons at the plate, a .273 hitter. This roster's so deep, even if you don't end up starting, you're going to get your opportunities.
And I think that's the juggling act for Coach White and Steve Singleton, to figure out how and when they get opportunities for everyone, and how do you keep everyone ready. Katie Simmons, a great hitter in her own right, has power. You have to give her opportunities to where she stays fresh. She sees enough pitching coming in that you're not putting her in after going 4 or 5 games without seeing a live pitcher.
Yeah, how do you keep everybody ready, and how do you keep everybody happy? I mean, a number of these players used to be full-time starters.
I think if you're an elite player, you know you want to be on a winning club, and you want to be able to contribute to that. And so you have to be able to adjust to your role, because it's not always going to be the dream role that you would like, but you're going to make the most of opportunities in order to try to get yourself in that conversation when starting lineups are made, pinch hitters in big situations are being decided on. I mean, it's no different, Alex. We've talked about it for the last however many years. Everyone's been chasing Oklahoma, and you look at Oklahoma, they graduate somebody. Well, they have a sophomore, junior who's been sitting the bench, who at another program could be starting. And you kind of buy into that, knowing that that's the program you're entering, and that's the situation.
4 straight Texas batters at reach now. 2 on, and here comes Leanne Good. Struck out in the 2nd, reached on an error in the 3rd inning.
Second baseman, Leanne Good.
Sophomore hitting .263, gets into one. Leanne Good off the wall. 1 run comes in. Here comes Katie Simmons. The throw home off the mark, and
Texas fans are into it, but Leanne Good lifts this pitch. Another left center gap shot off the bat of a Longhorn. Coach Mike White pushing the envelope, sending Katie Simmons all the way from first base. Throw from Lascano just takes Walker up the line. Simmons gets past her. Texas now in run roll territory.
That's right, up by 8. That means they will have Northwestern State down to their last 3 outs. Come the 5th inning. 5 runs scored here in the 4th for Texas. Looks like we will have a pinch hitter coming up for the Longhorns as well. Jordan Whitaker, the senior, getting an opportunity. Texas 10 runs off 8 hits. Leanne Good, it's safe to say she is looking like her old self. A hit in 3 straight games. And here comes Jordan Whitaker, the veteran, in place of the freshman, Victoria Hunter.
We're talking about trying to get everyone opportunities and keep them going and moving forward to where they contribute. Coach White and Coach Singleton getting Jordan Whitaker in here. Another powerful bat. Has been really good at being able to be a solid pinch hitter and RBI opportunities. Not an easy role to adjust to. But this year, especially being a senior, I'm going to try to cash in as much as possible.
Over to third. And here we go. 5th inning on the way. Texas up by 8.
To spread the eyes a little bit for the hitters.
5 appearances on the season for Simpson. By the way, new right fielder taking over. Adea Wallace replaces Ashton Maloney, the freshman Wallace. 1-0 to Lainey Ruse in the 2 spot. Takes strike 1. Simpson gets ahead.
Nice changeup right there on the inside corner. A lot of times people assume you only throw a changeup away to hitters, but she's able to sneak that right there on the inside to Roos. Puts herself in a good position.
This one lifted into the stands. Don't forget the Longhorns have one more coming up about a half hour after the conclusion of this one. They'll take on Tarleton State. Texas, meanwhile, right now looking for run rule victory number 7 on the season. Swing and a miss. And a strikeout for Simpson.
Well, that's the dirty changeup we were talking about. Sophia Simpson in her half again, but you see that just drop out of the zone. Roos way ahead of that one.
I mean, 14 strikeouts in 8 innings this year for Simpson. Not a bad ratio there. Here's Tristan Court swinging away. Scooped up by Scott. And the Lady Demons down to their last out. Mia Scott has been very good defensively at third all year.
Mia Scott, we talk about her speed on the bases, and you didn't have to see it right there, but we've seen a couple times this season too on a bunt over towards the first base side. She calls the pitcher off. She comes running. She's able to make the play. She anticipates well. She has a great glove. And honestly, she's progressed from freshman to junior. She's more solid at third base now, and she came up with some flashy plays as a freshman, but she's just more consistently solid now over there at third base.
Yeah, her defense has never been this good. Of course, the one year she wasn't supposed to play third. It's supposed to be the everyday center fielder, or at least outfielder. Plans have changed, and she adapted. 1-1 from Simpson.
They flirted with her in the outfield last year, and at first they said she was a little resistant to it, and after being out there, she was like, oh, I like this. So they were planning to put her in the outfield this year, but with Caden Henry and Bella Dayton and Ashton Maloney all taking care of business offensively, they've had to put her back at third.
Meanwhile, Simpson looking to finish it off all by herself. Ahead 1-2 to Cameron Curtis with 2 outs here in the 5th inning. Simpson doesn't get Curtis to chase. Northwestern State, 2 runs off 5 hits. Just about all of that offense coming in the first couple of innings. Not much since then. The 2-2 from Simpson. Curtis and Northwestern State stay alive. Texas get ready to take on the Texans of Tarleton State in about a half hour. Lifted to left field. Caden Henry is there, and Texas has picked up their 7th run rule victory of the season, 10-2 over Northwestern State.
Well, Texas scored oft early, then scored often, and the pitching staff was able to keep Northwestern at bay. The defense settled down, but a great opening game here for the Longhorns.